Okay, testing. 1, 2, 3, test. Oh, Jehovah, I thank you for this opportunity to redeem the time to provide hope for my brethren, my fellow faithists who are scattered throughout the world today, to spread the light, to spread the only hope for mankind. I pray, Jehovah, for the ability to say things that encourage my brethren. I give permission for the Ashars to influence me in the way of righteousness. I ask for wisdom, knowledge, and the same for my brethren, that we redeem the time while we're on the earth, that we make the resurrection, that we're mindful to make the resurrection, that we don't let the pull of the earth take us away to the temporary things of the earth. I pray for the message, Jehovah. I pray for struggling brethren. And I just pray that the light will spread and that the kingdom on earth will come quickly. So, Jehovah, please, thank you for this and many other things in your name, so let it be. All right, brethren, thank you for joining me. My name is Jaquab Ben Yisrael, and welcome to my channel, a channel for faithists, brethren who subscribe to the OAHSPE Bible. And on the screen, I have the website for the faithists, and you can go there for ministry and information. If there's anyone new to the channel here, the OAHSPE, this is what the OAHSPE looks like. You can also take note of the information, or you can get a free OAHSPE. They'll give it to you for free. So if you want to order it, these brethren, they give it away for free. They give it away for free. Now, in addition to that, the unknown many have put out a 6-volume set. 6-volume set where it's compiled in baby form. Baby form. Here, let me, I should have had it up on screen already, where you can get an idea of what the inside of it looks like. It's meant to be it's just a supplement where it's meant to hopefully get your attention on the different things that the OAHSPE talks about. So here's some examples of what the inside of the 6-volume set looks like. So you can see it's compiled, because once your interest gets sparked, then you should be well on your way. So that's what the inside of it looks like. I got a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna try to move kind of fast as usual. I always end up running out of time, and so I'm gonna try my best to get through what I usually get through. Let me read the creed. If you, I guess it's a good way to put it. A summary of what faithists believe in. Here's the website. Here are the ministries. You can go there, and for when we have our studies, I highly recommend the study I have in the description box of my video, Thursday study. That brother's study, I'm very high on it because, brethren, it's a small group of brethren, and we pray we speak it out loud. We put our voices into the universe, trusting that the angels can use it to work their will, to work the will of the Creator. In my description area of my video box here, I should have it in there. If I don't, my mistake. The brother Robert Bayer. So I should have the description link there in the description box. If anybody listening to this video, brother, sister, that you're in need of charity, there's a link where you can get a hold of me and get in touch with me. And I will certainly use my little ministry and resources to see to it that the situation gets dealt with. Here's the website, Universal Faithists of Cosman. Here's the ministries they have, different ministries, Bible study on every first, second, third Wednesday, healing basket every fourth Wednesday, meditation service every Saturday. Now, for those of you new to the website, here's a little summary of what we believe. What is a faithist? We have faith in the all person, the collective wisdom that is without gender. As faithists, we live by and follow these guidelines, followed by the OAHSPE Bible and the work of John Newbrough. We understand that supremacy exists only in a weak and fearful mind. We strive to do good works in the Creator's name. We respect others' opinions with understanding and openness as long as their opinions do not diminish the dignity or free will of anyone. We are willing to accept differences from others with no bias. We treat others and ourselves with love and forgiveness. We are kind to our actions and whole being. We give to others the freedom we all deserve. It is easy to demand free will, but it is challenging to allow others to exercise their free will. We are able to admit our mistakes and take responsibility for our actions. With these guidelines in mind, it is easier to understand that the foundation of faithism is the study and pursuit of Amarath and Ahiba. Amarath means divine forgiveness. Ahiba means unconditional love. For faithists, cultivation of Amarath and Ahiba are essential lessons on the path for soul growth. Many faithists adhere to a vegetarian or vegan diet to reduce suffering, but being vegetarian does not give anyone supremacy. Now, I want to say this real quick too on this little point right here. I learned a little something about faithism. Faithists. I learned a little something about what we believe. And when you there's such a thing called spiritual density. So picture it like this. Each of us is a helium balloon. And the more we subscribe to learning what the OAHSPE says, what the Creator has laid out for us, how to live life, what to think, what to say, what to do, it has to do with your spiritual density. The Creator, he's not being punitive when he puts like restrictions on you, brethren, and, do this, don't do that, eat this, don't eat that. He's talking to you about a spiritual law. Well, let me see. Can I say that? A spiritual reality. I read somewhere, and he said, I was reading where it said, if you picture, like, let's say when you give in to, every time you give in to wanting to hate somebody, or you want to, you want to, you know what I mean? Give in to the tat racks. The tet racks that the OAHSPE talks about, the lower nature, the lower vibrations, you give into that. It's like the description I read, it said it was like adding a brick to your weight. Adding a brick to your weight. Tet racks, when you, I don't know, it's a hard way. It's hard for me to describe it, but when you, let's say, you get angry at somebody, you get upset at somebody, you strike back at somebody, you lash out at somebody, it's equal to putting another weight on your helium balloon, which will keep it from rising. You eat meat, it adds to your spiritual density. That means it's going to be hard for you to rise. The more you give in to the self, to the flesh, your spiritual density gets affected. Faithists, they know that, and they don't take that for granted. I'm learning that the things we do in this reality, and it's not like the Creator is sitting around threatening people, do this and you're going to pay and you're going to get in trouble. He's just telling you the way it is. The free will, the choice is yours. You have a spiritual density. I have a spiritual density, and the things I do in this reality, it affect my ability to resurrect. Now, you can receive that or not, but it's up to you. The Creator is he's telling you, he's simply telling you, hey, this is a fact of life. You're on the earth, you have a choice. What you decide to do affects you this way or that way. Simple as that. This reality, the Creator, if you look at the world, on my feed, I saw something. I saw something on my feed, and it was a picture of let me see, what was it? It was a photo or like some type of video of all the people who went to the Knicks game, the NBA championship. I don't really care about sports anymore. I don't watch it. I don't care for it. I'm not downing anyone who does look at it, or, but I saw a picture, and it had the list of famous people in the audience. And I was intrigued, and I couldn't help but thinking, these people are on top right now. These people are on top in the world, well known, famous, well off. And I thought a couple of things. Faith is spiritually, and I don't want to sound proud, man. Faith is, those people are a picture of faith is spiritually. If you are a faithist, if I may be vulgar, you are a superstar in the spiritual. A superstar, what famous, well-known, well-off people are in this reality, that's showing you what a faithist is spiritually. That's what I recall thinking, man. I hope that it wasn't wrong to think that way. I don't think it was, but every now and then we need that encouragement to know that what we believe, the way we walk, what we say, and what we do, it has meaning. I saw the people in the crowd, they were all well-off people, they sat on courtside, the tickets going for like, I don't know, thousands and thousands of dollars, man. Where the blue bloods sit on the courtside, right there on the floor. And the world makes a big deal out of people who are in that position. Everybody looks up to them, wants to be them. Nobody wants to be a faithist, don't know who we are. But spiritually, we know who we are. Faithist, we know who we are. And that's one, and you brethren, you know it in your soul. You know it in your spirit, man. You know why I say that? Because I know it in my spirit. It ain't something you go around telling people. But knowing that, it make you root for people, It make you root for people, man. What the Creator does for us. We know that we are pretty special people, man. I know that the whole world will say that, but we can prove it. When we start talking to you and we start talking to you about life in a way that you cannot deny, when we start sharing with you the Creator's wisdom and you have no choice but to either accept it or reject it, and you have no reasons why you would reject what the Creator has to say to mankind right now, the only hope for mankind. Mankind has never heard this revelation before. The Creator talking to you about making the resurrection. See, this is the new covenant. The OAHSPE is the new covenant, man. That's the new covenant right there. I know the Bible says that it's the new covenant. That's so you can be deceived. See, that's another thing that just trips me out too. We come to the world, the Bible says here's the new covenant. People, they subscribe to it. To create the faith that's come to the world, we say, now this is the new covenant, and people reject it. They can't hear it, don't want to, The OAHSPE is the new covenant. It's the new covenant, and it's unable to be received by people. This explains to me Noah's Ark. Remember in the Bible, it says only 8 people were saved. Now, that account we know is not true. Noah's Ark in the Bible, that's not true. We know that. I'm using that to make a point. It said only 8 people were saved. Now, you get the picture. It said Noah was a preacher of righteousness for 120 years. Noah was a preacher of righteousness for 120 years. And then when it came time, now, according to the Bible now, when it came time for that ark, for it to be completed, it said only 8 people were saved. Now, I look at it like this. Why would I recount something that's obviously is untrue? Because I'm trying to paint a picture of the metrics, the numbers, the equation, the ratio of people who make the resurrection while on earth. I believe that Noah's flood in the Bible is an accurate depiction of the few who come into the light while on the earth who make the resurrection. I think that's an accurate ratio. I don't know how many people were in the world at that time. Noah's, I I know it was a lot. I know that it mentions only 8 people. 8 people, right? And I think it's valid to use that ratio to make the point to the few that are going to come into the light while on the earth in our day. We've seen it with our own eyes. You can't go, the OAHSPE is not popular. It's been around since the 1800s. So for the short time that I have left in this reality, I'm sorry if you come at this channel. I say the same thing. I ain't never going to stop. I can't stop. I ain't going to stop, man. I've been around the block. I've been around the block, man. I've been what's a good word for in religion? I've been here, I've been there, I remember a cousin of mine said, "You change your doctrine every 5 years." Damn straight, because that's what growth is. Do you stay 4 or 5 years old forever? You grow. See, so life is a picture of spirituality too. If you stay in the same place that you've been in for 2,000, 3,000 years, is it not fair to say you are stagnant? You stagnated. You have not grown. You have not grown, man. You're stagnant. And so with the OAHSPE, anything new, man, people just can't receive it until it's too late. I hate to sound harsh, but I'm telling the truth. Here's where you can order the OAHSPE. Now, those people in the crowd, man, at the game, they were the elite of the world. And this is saying faithists are the elite of the world spiritually. Now, we don't go bragging. We don't tell people. We don't do, but the Creator, He'll tell you. You don't say that in the world because people, they get all, no, people get offended and all, you just can't talk to the world, man, and it's sorry. It's sad. You can't make good sense. You can't really sit down and get man, let's talk about what it's all about. You can't do that. The earth is too strong, the pull of the earth. I found a verse, man. I want to really share it, man. I found something. I found something. I want to bear with me. I'm just never going to make all my studies. That's just a fact of life, Yaiquab. You ain't never going to, the Creator, He gives you too much. If you, brethren, want to do a video, if you want to get on here, if you want to get on here, let me see what the sister sent me. I didn't know she sent me a message. I'm reading it. I don't know who she sent this to. Oh, okay. She's recommending somebody to me. All right. Now I found something. I want to share it, man, because there's a little phrase. I think this is it right here. Is this it? Yeah. Here's a little something. It was in the book of God's word. A little, now let me it has something. It's just one little phrase I want you to see here about, and it has to do with the power, the pull of the world, the pull of the earth. Let me fix my mic here. How can I fix my mic? It's blocking my view. How do I? Man, how do I fix this? It's blocking my view. Shoot. Unbelievable. They can make a mic, man, and I can't fix it the way I want. All right, that's all right. Anyway, all right. Anyway, I found something that I want to share that makes a point about the pull of the world. The pull of the world, man. And it was this little phrase I found in the book of God's word in OAHSPE. Okay, now the point that I really want to point out, it says, I'll read the whole thing. It says, despite all your preaching that the highest life is celibacy, there will be plenty left who will marry. Now, it's jumping into the middle of the thought, so just bear with me, okay? The end part is the point that I want to make. It says, despite all your preaching that the highest life is celibacy, there will be plenty left who will marry. With all your preaching that with all your preaching that the highest, best man will not be a leader of men or a king or a governor. Yet there will be plenty left who will fill these places, even though they see the walls of hell opened up to them. Now, you know what this is saying? This talk about the pull of the earth, how strong the earth is. This is why I say faithists are special. They are superstars in this reality. And I love the way the creator, he do not make it known who we are. I love that part. You know, he don't even let a famous person get up there and say, I read the OAHSPE and you should too, because then the credit would go to a famous person. He used people who nobody knows who we are. You know, you know what I mean? We're nobodies compared to the world. And it's got to be that way. Ain't nobody gonna, that'll really test your faith too, But here's the part that I want to get to. It says that people will seek to, they will seek the riches of the world. Basically, that's what this is saying. Even if they see the corruption involved in attaining what it is that what they want. That's what this little phrase is saying right here. It's saying, okay, celibacy, yeah, it's the highest life, and don't expect to find faith that's in the highest offices of the land, a leader of men or a king or a governor. You ain't going to find faith that's there. It says, yet there will be plenty, look at this is the whole world, yet there will be plenty left over who don't care about the corruption involved in high office. That's me paraphrasing. It says, yet there will be plenty left who will fill these places. What places? King or a leader of men. They even though they know it's going to require you to be corrupt somewhat. You're going to have to be corrupt to obtain the high offices of the land. You have to have the ability to be corrupted. That's the pull of the world. It's saying here, and people know that, and they seek high office anyway. Anyway, you see the pull of the world. That's how strong the pull of riches are. That's how strong the pull of the earth is. That's why I'm saying these things about a faithist. Somebody got to say it, man. Faithists are the superstars of the earth. And nobody knows it. And that's what I love. Because if they knew it, they would come to us for advantage. It's better to just become one yourself. Why don't you just become one yourself? Why don't you just believe the creator? What's up? Why don't you just believe the creator, man? Okay, now it's playing tricks on me. I'm used to it by now. I had a verse up on the screen, and things like this happen. It just make me laugh. I know what's going on. There's a spiritual element at work. Faithists are spiritual superstars, and the world has no clue who we are, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Because one of the things that we really want to know is, do you really, one of the things that faithists really want to know is, well, let me see, is it fair? Can I say this? We want to be liked for real, not for what we have or what we can do. If you think you think you like me, I want it to be because you see something in me that you really resonate with. And, a faithist is going to seek to resonate with you. That's what the creator teach us. He teach us to look for the good in people, to think about that, but we live in a nitpicky world full of Drugian influence and tetracts. And to be, the Creator, He's going to separate us from that. You, faithists, are going to be separated. We are going to be separated from the Uzzians. See, Uzzians, people who are Uzzians, anti-Jehovians, ignorant, lust-driven, lower vibration people on this earth, that's just a temporary thing. It's just a temporary thing. People are in a temporary situation. People who are under Drugian influences, under lower vibration influences, earthly influences, fleshly influences. That's just a temporary thing. It's a temporary thing, you see? They're not going to be like that forever. They're under temporary influences. Faithists have had the miracle happen to them of being able to see the light and know that we got to fight ourselves. We know we in a situation, we in this reality where people, they offend you, they make you mad, they push your buttons. We know why that's happening. There are spiritual elements at work every day in our reality that test you. You get tested, man, And you got to look at it like that's the Creator. He just sharpening you, and he taking you and polishing you. And still it's hard, man. Sometimes I get pissed off, man, at things that go on in my reality, already, when for a long time, what I've never really shared a lot on this video here, on this channel, I was a misanthrope. Misanthrope. Do y'all know what a misanthrope is? A misanthrope? A misanthrope is a person who don't like people. And that was a secret I held in my heart, man, ever since. For some reason, man, even when I was a young, I knew that if I could just find a place where I didn't have to be around anybody. And that feeling only grew and grew into adulthood. I just don't know where you know what it was? You know what it is? It's a Drugian influence. That's an unevolved spirit influence. That's what it is. It ain't nothing good about it. I'm still fighting that today. Today, I have to fight that. I ain't perfect. Neither are you. I don't, Drugian and to create, if you don't got nothing to work on, then you're perfect. I'm forgetting every point that I was wanting to start out with. Okay, I got to get to the study. I ain't gonna make it, man. Do you brethren believe children should be spanked? Real quick. Y'all don't know why that crossed my mind. Do you believe children should be spanked? From what I know at OAHSPE, you say no. Did y'all know that? Spanking children. The Creator, He say no. I just learned that today. Real quick, we got to get to the study. On the geopolitical front, we in the situation, you brethren probably know that we started the war back up again. Okay? We started it all back up again. It's all started back up again. If you look at the news, they don't start lobbing bombs again. Again. If I could take you back to how this whole thing got started, it got started because of a threat. A threat. Because Israel said, we feel threatened. We got to expand our border. Now, this is the truth. You can Google it. Go online and learn for yourself. This is why the whole world is getting ready to suffer. This is why right here. I'm going to tell you, and I'll give you a thumbnail sketch, then I'm going to get to the study. For 40 years, that prime minister has been trying to get America to fight for Israel over in the Middle East. He finally found a guy who'll do it, Donald Trump, and now we over there lobbing bombs because Israel wants to expand. They feel they've been promised more land than what they got, and they in the process of implementing what's it called? It's some doctrine of Zionism and land expansion. They feel that more land than what they have is theirs, and now they got the United States to fight for them. And they use the excuse, we feel threatened to go to war. You know, we feel threatened, so we have to make a security zone because we feel they threaten us. You know, old McThreat had a farm. EIEIO with a threat here and a threat there. Here a threat, there a threat, everywhere a threat. And all they need is an excuse. We feel threatened. So now the United States, they finally got us to go over there, right? We feel threatened. So now we over there, right? And now we done open the Pandora's box. We done open, meaning the situation has gotten out of control. It's gotten out of control to where now the oil and the gas, it's been shut off. It's threatened the other pipeline over in the Red Sea, Bab el-Mandab, over there on the coast of Yemen. They threatening to shut that down, and that'll cut out another 7 million barrels of oil. You see, we're in that situation right now today, brethren, today. And the analysts are saying end of July at the very most, where oil and gas byproducts, we are going to feel it. We only living off of last year's harvest. Did you know that? Do you brother know that? The crop from last year, man, we living off of that. When you got a system where you barely making it and everything is running normally, well, what happened, man, when you cut out 60% of that? What happened then? You see? We feel threatened. We got to go to war. Go talk to the United States. See if you can get, we can't fight them on our own. Let's see if we can get them to fight for us. Okay, this president said no, that president said no, that president said no, that president said, oh, he said, yeah, all right, now it's time to do it, and now we over there, and now the whole world is going to go into a global recession, and it's going to, just like always, it's going to be the poorest who are going to feel it the most. It's going to be the poorest, it's going to be the middle class. We better study the Great Depression. We better study Jehovah, really. Somebody's got to, we need help, man. We got people ruling over us, and they have to just got to get us involved in the situation. And now we gonna be affected. I'm glad the creator said, hey man, don't worry about it. I'm gonna separate you. Don't worry, Iquab. I'm gonna separate you from the Uzians. I'm gonna separate you from them. It's just a temporary thing. I'm going to separate you from people who love the world, want to keep what they lower vibration, don't want to learn the light, the creator, the OAHSPE, the only hope for mankind. So I don't want to sound harsh, man, but the creator, he's going to separate Uzians. He's going to separate Thetis until the Uzians come around, whether it be here on the earth or in the spiritual. There's some point we're going to get separated from these people. We going to get separated from these people. And I say Godspeed, man. I say, in my heart, man, the Uzians, man. You can't, it's like trying to pet a rabid dog sometimes dealing with these people. You know, you can't talk to them. You can't reason together. You can't be, time to get to the study, man. I'm a little late. The name of the study is chapter 30, God's Word, two kinds of people. So it's a lot there, man. It's Zarathustra laying the hammer down after his resurrection. So I want to get to it. I got a lot of studies to do, man, a lot. I pray it bless your soul, man. Creator, He's going to separate us. Right now, we on the earth with these people. You see the destruction they cause. The Creator says that they have to run the government, and we're here on the earth. They are necessary so that they can run the government while we are on the earth until the Creator brings the kingdom in full. We got to live with these people. And you see the destruction. Man, UZ. That stands for destruction. Who wants to be around that, man? Bunch of selfish, narcissistic, self-important people. Who wants that? I don't, or would you rather our kingdom, where people, they do, they resonate with one another, they look to do for each other, don't sit there and vex and oppress one another, look to see how we can rule over one another. That's not the kingdom. Capitalism is not part of the kingdom. Ain't no capitalism. Remember the story? Y'all remember the story? The dude, he died and he took with him a bag of gold, and the angel came to him and said, "Why are you bringing pavement for the street here?" We use that to pay, we paved the streets with that. In other words, it's like picking up a rock right now and taking it to the bank, man. They'll laugh at you. Matter of fact, they'll say, here, give me the rock, okay? And you'll give them the rock, and then they'll throw it at you, See? The Creator, He's going to separate us from these people, man. I don't mean to sound harsh, but we sitting here, we trying to reach out to you. We trying to share the light with you. We trying to bless you. And you might say, oh, man, ain't no thing. Why don't you just go to hell, And at some point, you better pray the Creator, He don't honor that request, man. Remember what happened with the New York City riots? You know why that happened? The Creator said He withdrew His angels. Let me see if I can find that. The New York City riots of 1830. That's not the right date, but let me see if I can find it. The Creator in OAHSPE said He let this happen. You know why? Because He withdrew the angels. He withdrew the angels. This here is mentioned in the OAHSPE. This right here, the Creator said He withdrew His angels, and this happened. Racial integrate. What? Let me see. Where the New York City? Oh, this is it right here. The Creator, He addressed this in the OAHSPE. And it was such an event, they documented it. You can read it yourself. I'm late for the study. You see what happened when, so you go ahead and pray that faith just get rid of us. You go ahead and keep praying it. Faith is, the Creator is going to call you bluff, man, and take us away or remove us. And now somebody may read this and say, oh man, so what? Why don't you just go to hell, man? Okay. All right. If the Creator, hey, look, man, remove my people. Remove my people and let the world learn to, we don't labor for nothing forever, man. Faithists don't labor we want to be separated. We don't like this situation where we living under the Uzzians and, now I'm late for the study, man, so let's get to it. I got a lot more to say, but I'm way. Now this is chapter 30, book of God's Word, the OAHSPE. This is after Zarathustra's resurrection. Now, the name of the study is Chapter 30, God's Word, Two Types of People. It says, the following evening when the Zarathustrians were assembled for prayer and singing, the soul of Zarathustra again. See, now he's resurrected now, right? Dog, I can't see the screen. It's blocking me. Hold on. I got to do something with this microphone. Shoot, man. It's blocking me so I can't see the screen. I can't see the screen. Okay, that's a little better. All right. Here we got the book of God's word, right? Zarathustra, he's already come, he's resurrected, and he's come. This is where you get the Sermon on the Mount. Is this Sermon on the Mount? Yeah, this is equal to the Sermon on the Mount in the New Testament. This is where they get it from. Zarathustra's resurrection. Speaking to the people. He says, the following evening when the Zarathustrians were assembled for prayer and singing, the soul of Zarathustra again appeared before them in Sardis, teaching the word of Ramazdi. He said, there are two types of people on the earth. There are two types of people on the earth. One is engrossed in the affairs of the earth. That's why, earlier that little verse here. Matter of fact, it's here somewhere. This might be it right here. I got that. I pulled that verse from what I'm reading right now. So we're going to cover it again. There are two types of people on the earth. One is engrossed in the affairs of the earth, the other in the affairs of heaven. It is better for you to be of the latter, affairs of heaven. The fool will say, if all people are engrossed with the affairs of heaven, then who will provide on the earth? Such is the argument of all drugs. Look what the Creator called people who say stuff like that. Then who's going to be left to run the earth? If everybody was only concerned with heaven, then who would be left on the earth? The Creator says that's the argument of drugs. Look at that. It's in the OAHSPE. I'm reading from the OAHSPE. I ain't trying to be mean. A drug is an unenlightened, unresurrected, temporarily unresurrected, unenlightened spiritual being. A drug. Don't care about the OAHSPE, can't understand it, can't live, can't do nothing, man. You have to go into the spirit realm where you spend hundreds or even thousands of years before you can make the resurrection. After you get beat up enough and you want something higher, you want to know the Creator then when it's too late. It ain't never too late, but Creator said, do not fear. Therefore, the earth people become short of votaries. Now, that means one dedicated to, in this instance, pursuing earthly matters. So the Creator is saying that for the earth people, he said, don't worry about a lack of people running the earth. Okay. In other words, don't worry about that. Here it is. Similarly, it will be said of celibacy also. The drugs will say, if all people become celibate, then the race of man will terminate. Zarathustra says, for which reason I say unto you again, do not fear, for there will be plenty left who are full of passion and are unmindful of the kingdoms of heaven. Meaning there's going to always be people who are going to, even though they know it will open the gates of hell, who will seek the earth rather than the spiritual. There'll always be people who will seek the earth instead of the spiritual. It's going to always be people. Even if you put, I was going to say, you put like a whole stack of gold before them and say, here, I'll give you this if you read the OAHSPE. That won't work because they'll read it and then go back to the earth. But when I say read it, I mean you adopt it, you believe it, you practice it, and you share it. That's what I mean when I say believe. Even though you do, it says, for which reason I say again to you, do not fear. For there will be plenty left, full of passion, and are unmindful of the kingdom's heaven. That's where we live. That is where we live, man. It says, let all who can live for the higher light. If you can do it, man. You know, the Lord will always be supplied sufficiently. There'll always be people coming on the earth who seek the earth. Don't worry about who's going to run the earth, because there ain't going to be no faithists in office running for president, the Senate, or the Congress. You ain't going to find no faithists there, right? Creator said, don't worry, or Zarathustra said, don't worry, let all who can live for the higher light. If you can do it. If you can do it. And I'm talking about faithists too. There are some faithists I do not want to be around. I pray I don't, if I make the resurrection, I pray I make it. I hope I don't have to be around some faithists that I've seen and know. I hope, please, that may sound harsh, but I really believe that in my heart. Just because a person say they're a faithist, that don't mean you're going to get along with them. That don't mean you're going to get along with them. Let all who can live for the higher light. The lower will always be supplied sufficiently. Even as you find two types of people on earth, so also in heaven, these two types exist, meaning they're there right now. Two types of people on earth, so also in heaven, these two types of people exist. One follows the highest light and ever rises toward the highest heavens. The other follows the affairs of the earth and does not rise, and hence is called a drudge. A drudge. The latter, meaning the drudge, he engages in sensualism. They're real touchy people. It's easy to offend the hell out of them. You say one little thing, they got to get back at you. Yeah, but you did this. What about you? You ain't so great. The drudge, man. I sound angry, don't I? I got a reason, but I ain't saying it. The drudge. The latter engages in sensualism, He touchy as hell, man, How come you ain't the way I expect you to be? And so now you got to fake and act like you want them, they want you to be, Not everybody's like that. You got to have a strength of character. It's hard for some people to learn that. A Libra doesn't want to offend anybody. And sometimes they put on a mask, to keep the peace. A Capricorn will cuss you out. A Capricorn and Scorpio. Now, I'm saying that, and I'm getting away from believing in astrology, and I'm saying that, but I'm talking about types of people. The drudge, he engages in sensualism. It's not, and sensualism, it has to do with our feelings, which are cool. We all got them, But what is talking about here? Sensuality, pleasures of the senses. Talking about people, another word like for sensuality here, what it's talking about here is called heat. Definition for hedonism. The philosophical doctrine and lifestyle that dictates pleasure or happiness is the ultimate good and the most important pursuit in human life. It prioritizes actions that maximize pleasure and minimize pain. So you got people in the earth who are like that. I think Michael Jordan is one. He made a name for himself. And a lot of famous people, they engage in sensualism. They live their life blessing their soul. And you can't really point the finger at people like that, because you got to say, well, how would I be if I had done the same thing? That's one thing I'm really learning about, how you can't judge people, because you got to say, you can't really look at Trump Donald Trump, the president of this country, is in a temporary situation. He's definitely under a Drugian influence. Everybody can see, well, a faithist knows it. But you can't really look at it. You can't condemn it. I mean, you cannot condemn that man. You have to only pray for him. That's all you can do, because we don't know what we would be like in that situation. You know what I mean? His family is getting enriched off of him being in office. Don't sit there and say you wouldn't do the same thing. Don't just easily say that, man, that you wouldn't be that way, that you wouldn't sell out. Somebody put a million, $1 trillion in front of your face. Don't be so quick, man. Just give thanks you were faithist. And the Creator don't put you to the test. The latter engages in sensualism, the Druge, and in quarrels among mortals, inspiring them to evil and low desires. One person present asks, how shall we know one another, whether we are of heaven or of earth? And then Zarathustra answered, saying, seek to know yourself. Seek to know yourself. You are not your neighbor's keeper. In this sense, you're not your neighbor's keeper, meaning leave him alone, but help him when he needs help. That's when you are your neighbor's keeper. If he needs help, man, But here, Zarathustra is saying, in other words, he ain't none of your business. Why don't you quit meddling? Why don't you leave him alone? Why don't you mind your own business? Search your own soul 100 times every day to know if you practice the all highest according to your own light. That's important. Your own light, man. Don't try to be like a cookie cutter faithist, a Christian. You smiling all the time, and you ignorant as hell. You just think you're supposed to be walking around. We call to be joyful, spread the light, and live in peace and harmony, but not to be hollow on the inside. Be for real, man. Your own light, man. We each have our own light. Own light, man. How we perceive the Creator. He gives us a template, a guidebook, the OAHSPE. He says, follow this template, and you could put whatever type of flavoring on that template that you could put curry powder, sea salt. What's that barbecue sauce? You can make plant food barbecue. Dr. Stubbs barbecue, man. Yeah. You could put that on there, all kinds of flavoring on the OAHSPE. Your own flavor, that you share with the world. Each of us got our own flavor. See? You can season the OAHSPE any old type of way you want to within the template. Learn the template, and then you can put your own seasoning on there. Like vegan potato salad, what would you put on that? Yep. Pepper. Tabasco sauce. What else? Yep. What would you put on vegan pinto beans, though? Put it in the chat, somebody. I'm not in the chat. What do you season vegan pinto beans with? What flavoring? I can only think of one. Cumin. Neither shall you find excuses for your shortness. Don't reflect over much on past errors, but use them as inspiration to perfect yourself from now onward. See? And that's where the world, they like to attack us. The world, they like to attack. They like to get you in that point where you have regrets. you have doubts, self-condemnation. Another one present asks, what about thieves, falsifiers, and murderers? And that reminds me, I got a study after this that I'm going to do on the thief of Revelation 16, the thief. Another one asks, what about thieves, falsifiers, and murderers? Zarathustra said, the man who serves himself only is worse than any of these. There is no resurrection for him, temporarily, not permanently. Temporarily. People who are in the Druidian influence, the animal influence, the lower nature. Hi, Priscilla. The lower nature influence. They're in a temporary situation until they decide they want to resurrect out of it. But if a man ceases his evil way to practice virtue, he's on the right road. A falsifier is like one wearing a clean gown, going about casting filth upon it. He soils his own spirit. A thief is in a worse condition than an overburdened beast. He carries his stolen goods not only in this world, but also in heaven, to the end of his memory. A murderer is like a naked man who is ashamed and cannot hide from the multitude. When he is in heaven, his memory of the deed writes, his memory, when he is in heaven, his memory of the deed writes in human blood a stain on his soul, which all others see. Another one asks, according to the OAHSPE, that's the law, so you got the OAHSPE law, which is the creator's law. You got the OAHSPE law, which is the law handed down to the gods, the lords. And then you have the Zarathustrian law, which is the law given to mortals, if I'm not mistaken. That's where Christianity gets the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit doctrine. They copycat the OAHSPE, Mazdian, Zarathustrian law. They modeled the Father, Son, Holy Spirit doctrine off of this. It says, the highest, best men forsake the world, laboring to raise up the poor and ignorant, reciting prayers and anthems, taking no part in the affairs of people who are engrossed in the matters of earth, who then shall govern the wicked? To which Zarathustra answered, saying, so he's asking Zarathustra that question again, sounds like, according to the OAHSPE law, the highest, best men forsake the world. They labor to raise up the poor and ignorant, reciting prayers and anthems, taking no part in the affairs of people who are engrossed in the matters of the earth. Who then shall govern the wicked? To which Zarathustra answered, when there are no men and no women sufficient for such purpose, there will be no more wicked to govern. Despite all your preaching that the highest life is celibacy. Oh, this is it right here. There will be plenty left who will marry. With all your preaching that the highest, best men will not be a leader of men or a king or a governor, even though you tell people that the light calls you not to seek the offices of men, not to seek to be a leader of men, not to seek to be a king or a governor over men, more than likely because it leads you to corruption. Even though you tell people that, even though you tell them, yet there will be plenty left who will fill these places, even though they see the walls of hell opened up to receive them. So it's like, even if, he talked about human nature, when you know something is harmful, really harmful, and you still, like taking drugs, You got to know, man, that that stuff can kill you. And it don't stop some people. Same way in the earth, same way in, you know, the power, the pull of the earth. The creator says, all right, if you want to seek to be a ruler over men, you want to be, elected and political, and you know that you're going to be subject to corruption, that it's going to be hard for you to turn down. It's going to be hard on you, man. And when you give yourself to corruption, you're adding spiritual weight to your density, meaning you cannot rise. I know you don't see it, but if you don't believe it, you're going to learn when it's too late. He talked the whole OAHSPE, man, the creator, he talking to us about things we can't see. He talking to us about things we can't see. We can't see, man. We need somebody to tell us. The faithists are going to hear it. It's kind of like an unfair gift we got. The ability to see into the invisible, not to see it, but if the creator he's plugged us in to where we can see what is not seen. That's why we're faithists. We're able to see and believe it and leave the world. Only this type of teaching can make you leave the world. Only the creator can make you leave it. That's why I say about faithists, man, if people knew who we were, it would be the worst thing that could ever happen to us. Because you know how the world is, right? When they see that they can get some advantage out of you, then you don't know if it's really you or what you can do for them that is drawing them. You really, that's the way the human heart is. In this world here, guys get married, it would be hard being a superstar, these beautiful women throwing themselves at you, and vice versa, a woman star, these men throwing themselves at, it goes on in the world all the time. You cannot decipher, you cannot judge, what's a good word for know the human heart? You hear stories all the time of, these guys, and they're, beautiful. The world values beauty. No, not the inside beauty, the outside beauty. And matter of fact, there's a story. Now, it's public knowledge, so I'm not gossiping or, Tim Duncan. Y'all remember him? That was a hard story. Tim Duncan. Matter of fact, he played for the San Antonio Spurs, the same team that's in the NBA Finals right now. Have you read his story? His wife duped him. Or she tried to, but he caught on, and he let her think she was duping him for $250 million, which she was giving to her boyfriend, and she didn't know that he caught on, so he let her go on for 3 or how many years, thinking that she was duping him. And when he gathered all the evidence, he dropped the bomb on her. And that type of thing, it happens where you don't know somebody's heart, whether they are truly in love with you or if you represent a means to an ends. In other words, meaning, you know what I mean? This is America. That's love, American style. People hook up to get what they can get materially a lot of times. You know what I mean? That is a common story. You don't know if they really love you. The whole world wants to know, do you really love me? I mean, for real. Only guy who can really say, yeah, you love me is a guy, broke on the street. No, he can't. That's, you know what I mean? You catch a guy who ain't got nothing, a woman who ain't got nothing, you know what I mean? And he or she is with you. See, more often than not, you can tell that person is really, truly with you because of what they see on the inside rather than the outside. When there are no men, no women sufficient for such purpose, meaning to govern the earth, there will be no wicked to govern. Despite all your preaching that the highest life is celibacy, there will be plenty left who will marry. With all your preaching that the highest best man will not be a leader, a man or a king or a governor, yet there will be plenty left who will fill these places, even though they see the walls of hell open up to receive them. Another one asks, if the Zarathustrians, meaning Faithists, Zarathustrians, Faithists, it says, another one asks, if the Zarathustrians separate themselves from the disbelievers and live by themselves, what will be their power to do good among the evil? To which Zarathustra said, as the highest heavens send lords and masters down to mortals, so shall the Zarathustrians send emissaries among the wicked, preaching the truth, citing an example of the Zarathustrian cities, which are communities, meaning separate. Faithists are going to be separated. They are going to be separated, not on the earth, but in the spiritual. We are going to be separated, and we're going to send emissaries. It won't be all of us. We will send emissaries like, hey, Yaiquab, you go to the earth, man, and tell them about the creator. Not me. Sorry. No, sir. No. Send Nazarene to see Faithists. He'll go. Send Omian. Omian said he'll go. I'm just kidding, We will send you an emissary, man, but we will be separated. We will be separated, man. If you want to sow to the earth, if you want to be lower vibration type of people, you want to, then brother, be my guest, man. Be my guest. It says, for above all philosophy that man may preach, practice holds the highest place. Practice. And is most potent. See to it that therefore you may practice the Ormazdian law. That's the Creator's law. The Creator's law. The Ormazdian law is the Creator's law. The Ihua Mazdian is the gods and like the Ethereans. It's like the Creator hands it down to the Ethereans hands it down to mortals or gods, or which that's the Zarathustrian law, toward one another in all things. So avoid men of opinion. Avoid men of opinion, men of learning. See, the name of this video is two types of people. This is Zarathustrian. He's saying, let this be your guiding light on the earth. And we're just listing a bunch of things. Let this be your guiding light. You don't have to look down on anybody. Faithists are taught, we taught not to look down on nobody. We root for people, man. Hope that you make the resurrection. We hoping you make it. We realize you in bondage right now. You don't see it. We can't help you. Your time has not come, but it will come. Your condition is a temporary condition. It's a now that's the good news, Avoid men of opinion, men of learning who pride themselves in it. And that's America to a T. That's America to a T, man. They value each other's, there's a new saying in the world. Well, I haven't heard it before, but you hear people say he's a low IQ. President Donald Trump says that all the time mainly about black people. He brings that phrase out when he's talking to black people a lot. Now, he will say it to white people, his own kind. But he liked to really emphasize, he likes to reinforce that what's that is it called a trope about black people being stupid? What's that called? There's a word for it. And he's smart enough to know that he could deny accusing people of different races while accusing them. He's smart enough to, if he puts a label like that, he can still claim to be, no, I didn't mean that all black, but he really does. That's why he'll, black women, that was a low IQ question. He's done that 2 or 3 times, pride themselves in their learning, their opinion. They pride themselves in it. Avoid men of argument, men who quibble, quibble for proofs and unprovable things. Men who wish to be known as wise men. Ain't that America? Is that not America? You know, that is you know, the intellect, I love what the Jesus Christ of the New Testament said. He said, what do you have that you have not been given? And if you have been given what you have, then why do you boast about it? Well, where's the boasting? It was given to you, meaning if it wasn't given to you, then you wouldn't have nothing. So who gave it to you? You won't say the creator, will you? No. I made myself smart, that foolishness, something like that. The OAHSPE says that if I'm not mistaken, the OAHSPE he gives faithists an opportunity to make ourselves. Remember, we're in the embryo of the earth. We're not even born yet. Embryo of the earth. And so it's like we have the opportunity to make ourselves. I don't know what exactly that means, but if you give me the opportunity to make myself, you know what I mean? I'm going to make myself look like Denzel Washington. I'm going to make myself as smart as Einstein. You know what I mean? The Creator seems to say to faithists if you can receive the light on this side of reality, go ahead and make yourself. Make yourself. You had no choice to be born, but you certainly have a hand in when you were born into the Spirit. He says that. Avoid men of opinion, men of learning who pride themselves in it, men of argument, men who quibble for proofs and unprovable things, men who wish to be known as wise men who deny, men who can see defects in everything. Negativity, man. Focusing on the negative, always looking at the glass is half full, always, man, and have no good alternative to offer. Shun the disbelieving man. There's something with this I'm with this. I don't, shun the disbelieving man. But it doesn't sound like what it's saying, though. Shun the disbelieving man, for he is diseased and may infect you. Shun the disbelieving man, Shun the disbelieving man. It's something about that phrase, man, that just, I agree with it. Naturally, I feel that way, but I don't put it into practice. I have to chew on this one. Shun the disbelieving man, for he is diseased. Now, that sounds pretty harsh, man, but a disease don't last forever. Shun the disbelieving man, for he is diseased and may infect you. Shun the flatterer, for he is purchasing you. A woman for woman's sake, a man for man's sake, or company for company's sake. For all these imply that the Creator is less in your sight and not so well loved. Meaning the Creator's not good enough for you to fulfill your needs and desires and your hopes and dreams, wishes. He's not good enough for you. In this world, I remember the last place I lived over in California, a place for veterans. I remember, man, this one dude, and I never really talked to him a lot. And then one day he said, he just came up to me and said something like, man, I don't know. I said, what? He said, I don't know what to do, man. He said, I can't get a woman. I cannot get a woman, man. That's what he said. He said, I cannot get a woman, you know? And you got to really humble yourself, man, to say something like that to another man, you know? You got to be near rock bottom. And then that's when he told me a few minutes later, he was struggling with suicide. You see? He said he was struggling with suicide, man. And that's when he got my attention. He got my attention then. He really got my attention. And so I couldn't help it, man. I couldn't help it. I started talking to him with all the strength I had within me, but not trying to push him. And I was trying to tell him about spirituality, man. You know, that's walking a dangerous road, man. Those are spirits influencing you. And he just wouldn't let me talk to him. He put his hand up, you know, like you were swearing the Fifth Amendment, you know, or getting ready to swear in the Bible. He said, man, he said, save it, man, save it. And he walked away. He walked away, man, you know. A woman for woman's sake, man. You know, loneliness, isolation, it's a pretty heavy thing, man, you know. Now, I'm an isolated man. I'm not lonely because the creator, he can thrill you. Sometimes it seems unfair to live because you want other people to live the way you do. And I'm a disabled man. I'm handicapped, you know. I'm here. I'm in a wheelchair. You know, ain't nobody gonna have me. Now let's just get real, man. And I ain't feeling dark, you know, I ain't saying, you know, I'm not trying to feel sorry for myself or anything like that, you know. I'm just saying, look, man, I'm not desirable as a handicapped man. Now look, that's just the way it is in the world. Don't try to, you know, don't say anything in the chat like, like, I don't want to hear that, man. It is the way it is. And I can deal with it, you know. But the creator, it's almost unfair, I think, to know about the creator and the whole world don't. I just can't get over it. I'm in this condition, and it's the best time of my life. It's the best time of my life, man. Knowing what I know, being plugged in to learn about the OAHSPE, something I've been waiting for all my life. I had to get beat up a lot. And you brethren are probably in the same situation. We've been waiting, man. He put you through the test of life. And if you keep faith, it's like he plugged you in. Creator, he plugged you in. You're good to go then. You don't need anybody. Not saying you don't need anybody. Not saying you don't want someone. But the creator is able to thrill you. This OAHSPE here, it's a living word. It's alive. It's alive. And it just thrills you. I can't explain it. It just thrills you, man, to where you don't need anyone. All you want to do is share it, you know. And then the same guy who was telling me, man, you know, I can't get a woman, you know, it's the same guy who gets one, and then he's complaining about her. You know? Start complaining about her, man. You know, oh man, she said this, she said that, you know. The creator said, don't seek a woman for woman's sake, or a man for man's sake, or company for company's sake. For all these imply that the creator is less in your sight and not so well loved. I truly testify, man, that creator you can't describe it, man. You could think you could be, you know, all on your own, man, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to you. I testify to that. You know, one downside, it can make you not want to go out into public. You could spend all your time with the creator. You could become addicted. It says, one asked concerning spirits, to which Zarathustra said, for the affairs of earth, consult the spirits of the earth, the Druges. See, you know how people, they go to these, what's the name? Fortune tellers. That's consulting the Druges. I learned something about David Icke, man. I used to think, man, this guy's really special, until I found out he's only describing the Druidian spirit realm. Did you know that? He is only being given access to the Druidian realm. You know who David Icke is? A lot of people look up to him because they count him as a spiritual man, a spiritual guide. You know what? Some of you don't know who he is. If you Google him, you can find out. You know what I found out? He is, and a lot of guys are in his situation. He's only being accessed to the Druidian spirit realm. How do you like that? It's a lot of guys who talk spiritually. Do you know that they are only testifying of the Druid? They are only testifying of the lower heavens. The lower heavens and the Creator. I didn't realize until now that he keeps telling you, don't listen to these types of people. If they do not testify of the Creator and the higher heavens, then you know where their influence comes from. You know where their influence comes from. One asked concerning spirits. See, somebody asked Zarathustra. They said, concerning spirits, one asked concerning spirits. Hey, Zarathustra, what about, who should we listen to? Who should we be careful who we listen to? Zarathustra said, for the affairs of the earth, consult the spirits of the earth, the Druges. For the affairs of everlasting resurrection, consult your Creator, and his Holy Spirits will answer you in his name. Consult the Creator. This is 100% logical, man. You want to know about the earth? Consult the Druges. And so people do, and they do it naturally. What's the lottery number? Have seances, Please tell us the $1 trillion lottery number. We're going to turn over these cards, and the first 6 cards will be our number. And they get answered, For the affairs of everlasting resurrection, consult your Creator, and his Holy Spirits will answer you in his name. And to whichever you have made yourself companion, there will be your abiding place after death. See to it that you do not become inveigled by Druges, influenced, persuaded, deceived, enticed, urged on, tricked, or lured. See to it that you do not become inveigled by Druges, where spirits can assume any name and form, but weigh their words, whether they are wise, and according to the Ormazdi, and that's the Creator, Ormazdi. It really is the same thing, Ormazdi, Ahua Mazdi, Zarathustrian law. Test their words, whether they are wise or according to the Ormazdian law. If they do not teach the higher heavens, see, now we getting protected from people like David Icke and other people, quote unquote, spiritual people. This is how we look out, man, because they sound good. They sound good, man. And when you tell people about the unseen, that's an easy way to deceive them. They start studying it, looking into it, and listening to this guy more and more, and they never find out about the light. They just keep on talking about the lower heaven, the lower heaven, the lower heaven, the lower heavens, what they look like, and how they, they're here on the earth, and they got these secret society. They keep talking about that, keep talking about that, keep talking, and never talk about the Creator. Never. If they do not teach the higher heavens, but profess a long life in the lower heavens, consider them by their words. To flatter you, they will profess to remember you and love their life, and to please you, and to say that you were a king and have had many successions of lives on the earth. See, I really, this is really something. Because when I was in the Hebrew Israelites, that's what they were famous for doing. Oh man, I believe I was Nebuchadnezzar, man, in the past. Oh, I think I was Samson, man. I think I was David. I'm telling you, they do that. Hebrew Israelites say they believe stuff like that. Oh man, I think, in the resurrection, I was Moses, man, To flatter you, they will profess to remember you. These angels that come to you, these Druges. Hey, man, I remember, man. Do you know in another life that you was King David? Did you know that? You was King David. To flatter you, to purchase you, they will profess to know you in another life. And to please you, say you were a king. You were a king. And have had many successions of lives on the earth. But of what value under the sun is such philosophy? So what? You were great in the past. So what is what this is saying? So what? What? So what? What value, man? Is it so what? Instead, rise up away from the earth and from the lower heavens. That's the faithist objective, man. Get way off of the influence of the earth, man. That's who Ethereans are. They no longer have any influence, vibration of the earth. You can't tempt them. You can't vex them. You can't trouble them. There's nothing you can do against a Etherean. They have graduated all the way off of the earth. There's nothing, no vibration that can touch them. No more. They done crossed the bridge of Chinvat. They crossed it, the Ethereans, man. That's your aim as a faithist. That's your objective as a faithist. Get all the way up off of the earth, man. Outside, clean out of sight of the earth, man, and its vibrations, the influences of the earth. Clean off of the earth and its atmosphere. That's our objective. We want all the way off of the earth. It says, it was for bestowing this word upon men that I was sent to the world, Zarathustra. It is to teach you to know the Father's upper heavens and the way to reach them, that his words were given to men. As it was in ancient times, so will it be again before another generation passes away. Druges will teach that the spirits of the dead go into trees and flowers and inhabit them, and into swine, cattle, and birds, and into women, and are born over again in mortal form. Do you, brother, see something here in this verse that makes you think about when the Jesus of the New Testament said, sent the pigs into the swine? That's why the New Testament is suspect. Right here is saying that there are Druges who will teach. Now, the teachings of Jesus Christ are profitable if you know how to decode them. They are very profitable, good moral teaching, doing to others as you have others doing to you, that sort of thing. But then there are phrases like what he did with the dead man of the Gadarenes that show you who he was, how he was being used. Now, the brethren told me there are two Jesuses, and okay, I can believe that, All I know is that I don't look at the New Testament like I used to until I got knowledge, until I found out. Now, I don't know which Jesus I'm talking about. The brethren told me there were two of them, and I believe that, but I do know that one of them was under Louis Mong. That's all I know, man, because of he told him, as often as you eat of this, you drink of my flesh and eat of my, eat of my blood and drink of my flesh or whatever, you do honor me until the Lord come. He said things like that. He said things like, I and my Father are one. He who believes in me believeth in the Father also. There is no other way to the Father than by the Son. Some of the things that he taught, they tell you who he was, how the deception he brought. But then there's a lot of good things. The Bible is still profitable for good, for morality, for some wisdom, but it's been used largely to make people fall into deity worship. Deity worship. That's the one deadly thing about the Bible. That's the deadliest thing you ever seen in your life if you don't have understanding, man. It leads the Lord Jesus Christ, man. Druids will teach that the spirits of the dead go into trees and flowers and inhabit them, and into swine and cattle and birds and into women, and are born over again in a mortal form. Do not argue with them. Do not let their philosophy trouble you. You can judge. You can judge whether they are in darkness or light by the glory and beauty of the heavens where they live. If the words are of the earth, they belong to the earth. If they are servants to the false gods or false lords, they will preach him whom they serve. But these matters are nothing to you, for you should serve the All-Highest, the Creator, and this no man shall err. And in regard to the heaven you wish to ascend, one of my favorite verses, man. One of my favorite verses says, in regard to the heaven you wish to ascend to after death, magnify it with all your ingenuity to the highest perfection. In other words, be a Pisces, man. Be a Pisces. Use your imagination and stretch it, man. Stretch it to the most incredible place where you wish you could live, man. That's what the Creator is telling you to do. Stretch it, man. Just if you was on the earth, well, yeah, we on the earth, and they said, somebody came to you and said, you know what I mean? You know where I'm going, right? I'm going to give you all the money you need to build the best place you ever want to live, wherever you want to live. You know what I mean? Would you, brethren, not go crazy? Trying to imagine, you already see it in this reality. The blue bloods, when they strike it rich, the first thing they do, man, is buy their own mountain. Like Mark Zuckerberg, he's got like his own island. Is that true? Does Mark Zuckerberg have his own island? He does not own, okay. He does not own his own separate island, but he owns over 2,300 acres, essentially functioning as a private gated compound on the Hawaiian island of Kauai. Additionally, he owns a massive $70 million estate on Miami's ultra exclusive guard-gated Indian Creek Island, widely known as the Billionaire Bunker. You see? So when they strike it rich, you know what I mean? They go buck wild, man, in their imagination. I would too. The Creator, is saying, go for it. That's what he's saying here. The Creator, he says, go, hey, you faith this, go for it. Why don't you go for it, man? Why don't you try to outdo me? I'm the Creator. Why don't you go for it, man? That's something you ain't got to tell Yaquab twice. I guarantee you that, you know. You don't even have to tell me at night around 11 when I get visited by the angels and I'm fellowshipping with them. And I know I sound kooky, but I found out what happens to me. And it happened to you, brethren, too. But you have to pay attention to when it happens. When good vibrations come over you, you're being visited. Those are the Ethereans. Those are second resurrection angels visiting you. And if you let them, they give you ideas, they commune with you, they put a vibration on you that's hard to describe. That's what happens to me on almost a daily basis. Except for when I give in to the flesh during, at some points during the day, I find out that I get deserted, I'll be wondering where they are. And I think back and say, man, so you got mad at that guy, or you get upset, man. You said something, man. You could have did better today, Why don't you cut it out, man? All of that, it ain't worth it, to lower your vibration, because of some little thing. Why do you do that, man? No, man, we gonna hang out up here. We gonna hang out. We gonna leave you alone, man, tonight. We'll see. We'll check you tomorrow, though. Okay. I don't mean to make light, man, but I'm telling you the truth. And you the truth, man. Faithless lifestyle. People it with your highest ideas and your companions. See, you got everything you want, man. Now what people do you want to be there? What people, you got people in this reality. You like being around them. They resonate with you. You can laugh with them. They understand you. You resonate with them. There's people like that in this reality. Families ain't always the closest one. Sometimes families like friends more than their own family. It's just the truth, man, because their vibrations are in alignment, especially if you got a brother, sister, faithless, and they're in alignment with the vortex of the creator, if they're in strong alignment, they're going to get along because they know that they're not subject, man, to all the little, evil thoughts and accusations that creep up in your mind. And, people it with your highest ideas, man. The place where you want to live. That's what he's saying here. It sounds crazy, don't it? People it with your man. Imagine people it with your people it with your highest ideas, your companions, and see to it that you make yourself a fit companion. Make sure you are able to fit in with those people. See, if you do this with all your wisdom and strength, all the days of your life, the Father will be with you, and you shall be the glory of his works. Now, I want to get to the other study. Oh, I'm almost at the end. Maybe I can make it. Let me see if I can make it. In that manner, Zarathustra preached after his resurrection from death. For 3 days and 3 nights, he preached before his disciples. So you see, this is copying off the sermon. The Sermon of the Mount is copying off of this. God's Word, chapter 30. The Sermon on the Mount in the book of Revelation. Not Revelation, the New Testament, the Sermon on the Mount. They got that from this. Zarathustra preached after his resurrection from death for 3 days, 3 nights. I'm going fast because I want to get to the other study, man. It's not right to go fast in these studies. It's not right, man. We need to take our time and get it down. In that manner, Zarathustra preached after his resurrection from death. For 3 days and 3 nights, he preached before his disciples. And Asha wrote down, the scribe, he's a scribe, Asha wrote down the substance of his words, and they were preserved to the generation of faithists from that time onward. The words of Zarathustra now come all the way down to us in the form of the OAHSPE. And the words were called the Zarathustrian law. See, here's Christian doctrine for Father, Son, Holy Spirit. The words were called the Son, the Father, the Ehuan law, and the Creator, the Ormazi, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. You could say the Son, Zarathustrian law. You could say the Holy Spirit, the Ehuamazian law, and the Father, Father, Mother, the Ormazian law. Father, Son, Holy Spirit doctrine comes from the OAHSPE, and this is the source right here. Zarathustrian, the Ehuamazian, they're really the same thing in different manifestations. It comes from the Ormazian, the Creator, to the Ehuamazians, the gods, lords, and down to the mortals, Zarathustrian. Zarathustrian, he is able to expound on it and manifest it in a way that mortals can see it in his life. And they, along with the previous holy book, were the first heavenly words given on tablets, skins, cloth, and in books to mortals, except for those words given in secret to the tribes of the Ihens, the ancient Faiths, of which the different nations of the earth knew nothing of their own knowledge. On the morning of the fourth day, when the disciples sat in a crescent, which was called the living altar of God, the crescent, say half circle, Zarathustra again came in sergeants. He said, "Behold, the time has come for me to rise up out of Hada, where I have dwelt for 3 days. The lower heavens, Hada. The gods who were with me all my earth life are gathered together here, and there are millions of them that were with him during his earth life. Millions of gods. Just near the river over there stands the boundary line of the heavenly ship of light. It is wider than the eye can see and higher than the eye can see. 1,000,000 angels are singing in that ship, and there are great gods and lords in it. So bright, my eyes dare not look upon them. They are all sons and daughters of the Great Spirit. The Druges have all run away now." See, that's equal to that verse in the New Testament where the Jesus Christ said, "Satan cometh, and Satan cometh because he have nothing left in me." Matter of fact, let's find that real quick. So many things, man, come from the OAHSPE. Satan cometh and hath nothing in me. King James Version. John 14:30. "Hereafter I will not talk with you much, for the prince of this world cometh, and he hath nothing in me." They get that from the OAHSPE. Zarathustra, he's saying the same thing here. The Druges will run. He said the Druges will all run away now. Their foolish gabble is hushed, gone. It is as if another world came alongside, so majestic that this one was lost. Above, high, very high, up there, something like a sun illumines the ship of fire. I know it is he who has come for me. I go now. Where I go, I will build for you all. And you, O Asha, the gods have thrown a mantle of light over you. A chain reaches from you to Ormazi. That's the creator. Asha was overcome and gladly would have gone to the spirit Zarathustra, but the latter said, "Stand, so I may kiss you." So Zarathustra kissed Asha and departed. All right, let's go to the other study. I'm running out of time. Don't mean to go fast like that, but let's now this one is concerning the thief. The thief. Now, this has to do with our reality. This has to do with our reality, man, because you know why? The thief is the OAHSPE. The thief is the light. The thief is the light. And it comes stealthily, man. It comes it don't come with a big bang. The light do not come with a big bang. It's happening right now. Let me bring it up on the screen. That's why I said what I said earlier about you Faiths, man. You Faiths are the elite, the superstars of the earth, man. I know you don't like, I know that kind of language, it make you uncomfortable because you're humble, you know, and you don't seek vainglory, but this isn't vainglory. But I wish that somebody would say it more often so that faithists can feel good and know that it's the truth. If the world knew who we were, man, if they knew, they would bum rush us for advantage, most likely. A lot of because that's the way the world is. Will you do this for me? Will you do that for me? Will you pray for me that I make $1 million? That I get a raise on the job? Or will you do that? You know, though the Creator knows that, He don't let the world know who we are. He don't let them know. He don't let them know, man. The only way you can come to the Creator is your heart it's got to lead you. You have to desire it. You have to desire it. It's a mystery. Now, this study here, let me see. Let me make sure I'm sharing it on the screen. Now, this is called, I should have titled this The Thief. The Thief. Because that's what's happening to the world right now. You know, see, you got the world, they look for the resurrection, they look for the rapture, right? Movies been made. This is what's going to happen. You know, cloud's going to break open. Cloud's going to break open. Jesus Christ is going to come through with the angels, going to lift you up off the earth before nuclear war. That's the rapture, right? So the whole world shouldn't they sitting back saying, I'm hanging out, man. You know, I'm hanging out here until the rapture. The rapture is a big subject in America, especially. The rapture is a big subject, and they don't know it's happening right beneath their eyes right now. The rapture is happening right now, and it's been going on since the 1800s. You see the power of deception. Do you see how powerful deception can be? Does any brother see it? The whole world, you know, the whole world, man, at least the Western Hemisphere, the rapture, we're getting close now, man. The war over in the Middle East, man, Gog, Magog, you know. Ezekiel 38, man. I mean, we getting close. Hold on tight, man. We get ready to leave here. You know. And it's happening right beneath their noses right now. With the OAHSPE, the Creator is saying, come out of her. Remember Revelation 18:4? Creator is saying, come out of her. And faithists are saying, okay, here we come. And you cannot see us departing. You know, all of a sudden, they ain't in church no more. You know, they ain't in Bible study. The Thursday study in the description area, the guy that the Thursday meeting that we have that I talk about, the guy he has, I might have forgotten, but I usually put a link in the description area where you could send him a email. He'll send you a link to the Thursday study around 5:00 Pacific Standard Time, I think it is. So it's later, East Coast. And there's a lady in there. She said, I tried to go to a Bible study. She said, I tried to go, but they kept praying to Jesus. And she said, I had to leave. And chances are they don't even know she's gone. She was a WASPy sister. She said she wanted to stay there for the fellowship. She said, but they kept on praying to Jesus, and her spirit would not let her stay. She wanted to, but she could not. And it's going on all over the world. Even to go and try and talk to people. And what did that little verse in God's word say? It said, even though we can't reach people, the Creator, He won't let us. He will not let us reach people. I think that's what puzzles me more than anything, man. He won't. You can't. You know, the rapture is going on right now. The thief, man. The thief. Matter of fact, I'm going to type the thief in on this study right now. The thief. Even in the Bible, the Jesus Christ, he said, watch and pray, man. Watch and pray. What did he say about the thief? What did he say? He said something like, watch and pray. What did Jesus Christ say about the thief? Truly, I tell you, the thief. No, not the thief on the cross. He said, I'm coming like a thief. Make sure you keep watch so that the thief doesn't come upon you unawares or something like that. According to OAHSPE interpretation, make sure I'm sharing this screen. The thief, man. According to OAHSPE and interpretations by Faithist Cosman readers, Revelation 16:15, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keepeth his garments. That means your belief, your faith, man. If you're under a deity, you got soiled garments, spotted garments. Lest he will walk naked, meaning that if you do not walk in the light, you are naked. If you don't walk in the light, you're naked. When you want to be covered, and they, who is they? The faithists, they see your shame. You see, whenever you talk to a Christian, you see their shame. You see that you have not been given the gift to come into the light. And it makes you sorry for them. Really. You feel, I'm telling you, man, you see their shame. The thief, it refers to the unexpected, the personal and ongoing nature of spiritual awakening and self-judgment, especially in the Cosmic era. It is not mainly a visible second coming of a Savior. You see where the world is caught off guard? It's not about a visible second coming of a Savior. It's not about a visible second coming of the Creator, but about Jehovah's light or the higher inspiration of the new cycle arriving stealthily, exposing the inner state of the soul. So the light comes, you're exposed to it, you can't receive it, you don't care, and you don't believe it. That means that, I don't know how to describe it. It means that, well, you just fill in the blanks. It means that you're not ready to, that the thief has come upon you unawares. Because if you had known what hour the thief cometh, remember it says that? That's the second part of this verse. If you had known, if you had known what hour the thief cometh, then the watchman would have stayed awake and something like that. If the owner of the house that's you, what time, and would not have let his house be broken into. The house is your deities, they break into your spirit, right? If you don't keep watch, man, if your spirituality, if it ain't important to you, you won't keep watch. And you'll be deceived. You'll come into deception. I come as a thief or a thief in the night. Jehovah, our higher light, arrives quietly, unexpectedly. And these are things, faith, as we know in our spirit. That's the beauty of these teachings. We know these in our spirit. We don't even have to read. We don't really even have to read this to know, because we see it. And the same is true even on a carnal level. Information, things happen, you're not ready for it, it catches you off guard. I'm just talking spiritually. A faithist can be caught off guard concerning earthly matters. Somebody could say, hey, do this or do that, and it's, and then we don't listen to them, and then it happens, and we get caught off guard. But spiritually, it's a different story. And spirit, the common denominator is everybody cares about their spirit. One way or another, the spiritual aspect of our reality is going to mean more than anything else. That's just the bottom line. I come as a thief. Jehovah or higher light arrives quietly and unexpectedly without dramatic announcement that everyone immediately recognizes. Faithists immediately recognize the light when it comes. Even when we're in religion, we're in that winding road of religion, and this one and that one and this one and that one. But when the light hits, man, it's all over with. It's all over with. A cosmic era production echoes this. The day of the Lord cometh so as a thief in the night. The Creator cometh upon me in a way I saw not. This aligns with the gradual shift into the cosmic, where we are right now since 1848, where old structures decline and new inspiration dawns amid the birth pangs we discussed in Revelation 12:2. The birth pangs, the current events, the upheavals, the chaos that we're going through right now that signifies the birth pangs before the birth of the man-child. Revelation 12, remember the lady we talked about, the clothed with the sun, the moon at her feet. She gave birth to a man-child. The dragon was ready to devour it. Talking about the faithists. She runs to the wilderness where she's a place prepared of herself, meaning our own spirit, our own soul is the prepared place where we are fed for really a certain, it mentions 1,200 and 300 days, 1,200 days or something like that. It's really talking about the cosmic era. This aligns with the gradual shift. The Creator cometh upon me in a way I saw not. This aligns with the gradual shift into cosmic post 1848, where old structures decline and few inspiration dawns amid the birth pangs we discussed in Revelation 12:2. It can happen individually at any moment or collectively through cosmic cycles. For me, it happened individually. It probably happened individually for you brethren too. You should recall when you first came into the light and remember it, man. Brother Maine, he exposed me to it. Brother Maine. And when you get plugged in, you know it. You know it, man. Blessed is he that watcheth. Now, 7:00, and type a 1 in the chat. When I get to the chat, type a 1 if you want me to drop the link and you want to comment on anything I've said here on the video. I'm going to close in a half hour. So type a 1 if you want me to drop the mic. And when I get finished and I go to the chat, I'll give you the mic, and you can say whatever it is you want. Blessed is he that watches. Blessed is he that watches. Constant self-vigilance is required. In OAHSPE Book of Judgment and Book of Discipline, this means living in readiness through daily righteous actions, service to others, inward communication with Jehovah. That's a strong one. Inward communion with Jehovah. One must judge thyself continually. Your spirit is as a manuscript in thine own handwriting, meaning you make yourself. Remember, like we said earlier, make your own spirit. It's your spirit as a in your own writing. Your own writing. Judge yourself continually. Your spirit is as a manuscript. How would you write your own story? Is what I'm asking you. How would you write it, man? Watching prevents being caught unprepared by life's transitions. Unprepared by life's transition. See, that's the world we live in. That's the world we live in, man. The world is going to go into the spirit and say, and and learn that the things that the creator was saying is for real. And it may take hundreds of years. Who knows how long before somebody realizes they're even dead? Did you know that? Meaning you cannot even begin to resurrect until you realize you've left your body. And from what I understand now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, many people don't even realize they've left the body. Now, I could correct me if I'm wrong. I'd love to know. May not be able to start the resurrection until hundreds or thousands of years. You see what I mean? You have to, the earth is a shortcut for your behind, man, to make the resurrection. Either way, you're going to make the resurrection. Either way, man, just like that Midas commercial, pay me now or pay me later. And I don't want to make the creator sound petty, but he just telling you, the creator is just telling you the truth, man. If you want, you can get started on the resurrection now. Here's the light, walk in it, Here's how to do it. Keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. Garments symbolized the soul's spiritual covering. The accumulated righteousness, good works, purity, body of light built through labor for others. Nakedness means arriving in the spirit world or during moments of revelation. Exposed as one truly is, with hypocrisy, selfishness, which is the beast, or unrepentant false visible. Shame here is not eternal damnation, but a humbling realization that prompts growth and reformation. So at some point, man, you come to a realization. Faithists are able to do that now, man. Come to a realization, condition of the beast deity, get out of that, man, and then get started on the resurrection. To the world, it looks like it's too long of a road. Life is too long of a road, but you don't really have no choice, man. This is a road, you're going to walk it. You're going to walk this road. That's why I was saying earlier to you, faithists, man. Anyone who hears this video, you better thank your lucky stars, man. Thank your lucky stars, man. Thank your lucky stars. You are a faithist, man. Thank your lucky stars, man. Now, we don't believe in luck. From Cosmic Teachings, the day of judgment comes for each soul when we shall see ourselves as we are and be ashamed, when we don't have a covering. And from that day shall we begin to put on the garments of resurrection, even the body of light. This verse fits the cosmic transition. Higher vortexia, light enters stealthily, quickening souls, those who watch and build true spiritual substance. Through service, non-judgment of neighbors' faults, labor for the helpless, ascend more easily through heavenly grace. See, that's how we lighten our load, man. Lighten our spiritual weight. There is such a thing. To lighten our density. When you do things, Eating meat, it makes your density heavier. We don't understand how that happens. That's one thing. It makes your density heavier, meaning harder for you to rise and resurrect. It's harder, but it's your choice. It's your choice. Through service, non-judgment of neighbor's faults, laboring for the helpless, ascend more easily through heavenly grades. Those clinging to external shadows, words without works, old dogmas, face exposure and delay. It echoes earlier biblical parallels in OAHSPE. The grind is birth pangs, meaning when you don't want to make the resurrection now, then life becomes a grind because you really don't have no foundation. You know, like we're coming to a time where people's foundations is going to get tested. Talking about oil and gas shortages, man. Oil and gas shortages. And just today, they lit it off again. They lit it off again today. And I could go on about that, but I'll spare you, man. I'll spare you. I'll spare you, man. But I do know this. The thickness, the darkness is getting ready to increase. Okay? As one faithless brother to another, all right? The thickness, the AG is increasing to where they're even going to feel it on the earth. When you begin to lack, that's the only way to get an Uzian's attention. It echoes earlier biblical parallels in OAHSPE. The grind is birth pains, meaning the thief, the resurrection. When you do not make the resurrection, it reinforces personal responsibility. No intermediaries can cover the works, your garments. No intermediaries can cover your nakedness, only your daily choices. In practice, so OAHSPE urges focusing on uplifting others. Uplifting others, man. Sometimes that's hard to do, man. Uzians make it hard, man. Uplifting others in inner harmony rather than fear. The thief brings opportunity for resurrection, not just warning. If this resonates with a particular situation, okay, now the thief metaphor. The thief metaphor. The thief metaphor. In OAHSPE, the thief metaphor, Revelation 16:15, emphasizes the unexpected, stealthy, and personal way Jehovah's higher light, inspiration, or judgment arise without fanfare, announcement, or obvious external drama. It is not about a visible, dramatic second coming of a personal Savior, but about the quiet, sudden breaking in of a new cosmic reality, especially in the cosmic era, that catch people unprepared if they're not vigilant. Unprepared. Unprepared if you are not vigilant, if you don't come into the light, if no one is sent to you to tell you what the light is. Unprepared, you won't know how to find the light, man, which means simply going inside of you and beginning to ask questions, man, and to wonder about things you cannot see, mysteries, what is it all about, life after death, those type of questions, getting real with yourself. What about when all this is over with? Faith is one way or another, they do this type of stuff. They go into their own spirit, man. They go into the secret chamber and they start looking for answers. And that's where you find the creator. But if you are covered in flesh, if you're covered in money, covered in possessions, covered in materiality, covered in the world, covered in possessing riches, fame, entertainment, glory, vainglory, worshiping yourself, if you're covered in that, if you're covered in it, man, you cannot find the creator. You got him blocked out. And the powers that be, fallen false gods, are going to see to it that you stay in that condition where you're always looking at problems, you're always vexed, the glass is always half full, all you can see is negativity. Do you think false God's going to try to help you get out of that in this reality? They're going to ultimately, because they're not going to be able to resurrect until the people they deceived resurrect. They're not going to make the resurrection. People in this earth, people who are in rulership, who are in leadership, who lead other people, and you lead them to deception. In the spiritual, you will inherit those people and you will not resurrect until they are resurrected. And that could take, what did OAHSPE say? How many? Some brother told me generations, 4 or 5, 6 generations for a king or a ruler. 6 generations, man. You know, generation, 33 years dealing with people that you are responsible for their deception. And when you deal with people, I don't have to tell you, man, you know, people can be hard to deal with, man. And even when you treat them nice, they can be hard. You know, here in America, you know, tolerance, it's only skin deep, man. It's only skin deep, man. Meaning people can only take a little bit of inconvenience, man, before the beast in them will come out. It will come out of them. A little bit, a little bit. Do you know I read where, let me show you, man. Let me, I think something happened over some French fries. Okay. So, matter of fact, I don't even need to show you the article. You get what I mean? You know how I can get crazy showing you these articles? I don't have to even show you. Something happened over some French fries, is all I can remember. I think somebody got shot. Now, I'm so tempted to go to, matter of fact, I can't help myself, man. I want to see it for myself now to make sure I'm not going crazy. Let me see if I can do it. Person shot dead over French fries. Look at here. Let me see if I can get it on the screen. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, now let me go back. Let's see if I'm sharing this. Okay, I got to change the screen. Check this out. This is an example over the beast, by the lower nature. I think I got it on the screen now. I got all these screens up. I got to do a little dance in here. Now, I don't have to tell you, this is an example of the beast's nature, what it's getting to. You know, this is what it's getting to. Now, a 19-year-old, let me get it here up on the screen. Look here, a 19-year-old Jarvis Davis was shot and killed by his friend, Lamarcus Darden. Look at this. After Davis refused to share his Wingstop French fries at an apartment complex in Fort Worth, Texas. The suspect shot the victim in the head and later fled before being arrested in Tyler, Texas. Now, I'm only sharing this because this is a picture. That's the beast nature. You know what I mean? That is the beast nature. Let me try to get back to the other screen now. In people, the vibration in people. You know, I don't say that for any salaciousness or anything to titillate people. I'm saying because it goes along with when you give in, to the beast kingdom, to the beast, the lower nature. Now I'm trying to get back to my screen. I'm having a problem here. I knew I should have been careful about switching screens. Okay, now we got it. So I wanted to share that because it's a pretty good example of the effect, the power of the only way you can explain something like that happening is when you are under a Drugian influence, Drugian influences, and people do things like that. When you do not know the light, when you do not exercise, what's the word that the OAHSPE uses? When you don't watch, and then the strength of the beast kingdom in people to influence them, the Drugian influences. Sudden and unannounced arrival. That's the OAHSPE. A thief does not knock or send notice. He comes when least suspected, often at night while people sleep. That's the OAHSPE. Similarly, Jehovah are the higher ethereal light of cosmic. It enters individual lives, societies, or the collective spiritual atmosphere in ways that are not immediately recognized as divine. A cosmic era publication directly echoes this. The day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. The Creator cometh upon me in a way I saw not. This aligns with the gradual yet disruptive shift into cosmic, where old structures fade and new inspiration dawns amid birth pangs. Personal and individual focus. The coming is not one-time global spectacle for everyone at once. It happens inwardly through life's transitions, moments of revelation, death, cosmic cycle changes, or daily opportunities for growth. Higher light exposes the true state of the soul stealthily, like a thief slipping in. Call to readiness. Watch, man. Because the arrival is unpredictable, one must live in constant spiritual alertness. Watch. In OAHSPE terms, this means self-judgment. Thou shalt judge thyself. Daily righteous labor and service to others, especially the helpless. Building inner harmony with Jehovah, rather than relying on external shadows, dogmas, or intermediaries. The garments and nakedness. The tie-in metaphor are the negatives. The thief metaphor continues with keeping one's garments so as not to be found naked and shamed. Garments represent the soul's accumulated righteousness, good works, purity, body of light, when the thief, the higher light, arrives. That's the garment. Good works, righteousness, purity. Prepared souls are clothed in substance and ascend more easily through the heavenly grades. Unprepared ones are exposed as they truly are. Hypocrisy, selfishness, the beast are empty words without works become visible, causing temporary shame. Temporary, that's a good word to remember. WASPE is not without hope, man. Hope. Hope. The WASPE gives hope. Hope. The shame of being naked for the world, for Uzians, for people who do not make the resurrection, is temporary shame. Temporary shame that prompts reformation, not eternal punishment. Okay? This fits the WASPE view of judgment as ongoing and merciful. Exposure humbles and quickens growth. Why this metaphor fits Cosmin? Why this metaphor fits Cosmin? Let me separate this. Why does the thief metaphor fit Cosmin? Why the thief metaphor fits Cosmin? It says, in the current era of higher vortexia light, old cycles stealthily, old cycles end stealthily, quietly, secretly, while new ones birth painfully. That's what we're going through right now in this situation, as in Revelation 12:2. Remember, a woman clothed with the sun, moon at her feet, dragon standing there ready to devour her man-child as soon as it was born. Tribulation, chaos. The thief warns against complacency amid globalization, scientific awakenings, and declining rigid religions. Changes that feel disruptive yet carry divine opportunity. That's where we are right now. The technology sector, the shift in reality can put you to sleep, really. Those who watch, meaning align themselves with liberty, service, and direct communion. Others experience the grind. That means life, man. When you do not know the light, when you have no foundation, when you do not know the Creator, the thief metaphor urges proactive, humble readiness rather than passive waiting or fear. It transforms potential surprise into an invitation for personal resurrection. So that's it. That's the study on the thief right now. I got a lot more, but I can't go into it. I'm at the end of the video. So I'll cover this at another time. So let me go ahead and go to the chat real quick, see if anyone wants to share or comment on anything that has been said. And if not, then I just go and close it out. So let's go to the chat, see what's happening there. And all right. Not much action today, but that's all right. Tabitha, good to see you. Fritz, Mr. Johnny, good to see you, brother. All right. Let me see. Don't sweat it, bro. We're hearing you. Don't mind the microphone blocking your face. Don't. That was funny. In the Caribbean, we're accustomed to spanking. Brother Yaakov, you must understand the Zionist perception because the Bible told them the land's flowing. Yeah, the Zionist deception, really. The Zionist deception. Yeah, Mahalia was here. Good to see you, sis, and peace, love, and light to you too. Bishop, good to see you, brother. It's so true about the Drugian energy, but you can't tell them that, especially when it comes to the consumption of talk, man. I made a joke about Omian earlier, and he laughed at it. I said something like, "Send Omian, or send Nazarene and Saint Faithus back to the earth." That's what he's talking about. Yep, can't read the human heart, man. That's a secret only for the Creator. That's why people fall in love, fall out of love. You don't know if they really love you, want what you have, or famous people they break up too, and they get, they find out the truth then. I mentioned Tim Duncan, how his wife did him. And all right, the undergrads, Never seen you before, but welcome. All right. Tap says new name for us, the EOIH Elite. All right. That's it, brethren. Thank you for joining me. Jehovah, thank you for this opportunity to share with my brethren. And I just pray for the days to come, the darkness to come, the earth, we're in a situation that we've never been in before. And I just ask that we know we have to go through it. So I ask for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for my brethren, for our loved ones. Jehovah, I just ask that the light, that because of the situation in the world, it would be a great opportunity for the light to spread and people to come into the knowledge of the truth, come into the knowledge of the OAHSPE, which is really the only hope for mankind. So, Jehovah, thank you for this opportunity to share the light. And I pray for my brethren and my sisters in their individual situations that they could really redeem the time, really redeem the time, and that their shards be strengthened to influence them in the way of righteousness. So, Jehovah, thank you again in your name. I give thanks to praise, so let it be. All right, brethren, thank you for joining me. And until next time, I will see you, Creator willing. Peace be unto you. Shalom.